Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And thank you for joining us wherever you're listening, whether it be on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, you're on TuneIn, you're on Podcast Addict, Castbox, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening on the Beltway, Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. We thank you for joining us. And we have a lot to get to this week. Have a couple of tributes to give out. One involving the local boxing scene. One of our fallen boxers passed away this past week. Also, we're going to talk about some updates on the schedule, some big bouts that are coming up in the next few days here in the Beltway boxing scene. We're going to update our Olympic hopefuls, and we're going to pay tribute once again to truly, I think, the best tag team professional wrestler in all of wrestling history. And we'll talk about him. He passed away this week as well. The Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you as always by real-time pain relief. From boxers to ballerinas, from shoulder pain to muscle strain, everything between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends real-time pain relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of real-time pain relief. You get a free $10 tube of real-time pain relief, now endorsed by two-time World Heavyweight Champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for real-time pain relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. Now, we start our podcast this week with one of the tributes, and that's the tribute to a very good super welterweight out of Hyattsville, Maryland. Didn't fight very long, didn't compete very long as a pro, but he was really one of the exciting boxers, and he helped us with the transition in the Beltway, because that was around the time that the four kings had all lost their titles. They all were heading toward retirement, and our new boxers coming. We did have Marcus Chop Chop Corley as a world champion at that time. Of course, I seen Rockman was a world champion at that time, around the late 90s, early 2000s in both their cases. And one of the guys that was involved in that situation was a real tough boxer, was a man by the name of Mighty Marlon Haynes. He passed away this week due to cancer. Now, Haynes was actually born in Guyana, but he came here as a young man here to the United States into the Beltway. He had a 5-year career as a pro boxer. He debuted on August 30th, 1998. He won a 4-round split decision to Chad Greenleaf. That was in Chester, West Virginia. Now, Haynes fought for the first time in D.C. on February 2nd, 1999. He fought to a 3rd-round technical decision draw with another local boxer named Jerry Booker. That was just one of some of the many Beltway boxers that Marlon Haynes fought against. He fought against the likes of Mike McPhail out of Baltimore, Lawrence Brooks, Vincent White, Boujay White, Melvin Bad to the Bone Jones, Luther Sugarman Smith, and Charles X-Mark Spot Clark. Those are some of the boxers. He was successful against some, not successful against others. He did have a tough road through there. Now, 2 of his biggest bouts came against former world champion Cool Vince Phillips and also contender Chris Smith. You may remember Chris Smith fought on the Kevin McBride, Mike Tyson card at the MCI Center back in those days. MCI Center. He fought Sean Brady Mitchell in that fight. Now, Haynes lost both of those bouts against Phillips and Smith by technical knockout. Now, he concluded his career in a 3rd-round TKO win over Richard Tiger Lee Hall. That was at the D.C. Army on June 28, 2003. He fought all over the Beltway. He fought a number of times in Baltimore, fought on the Fight Night card. That's when he lost the technical knockout loss to Luther Sugarman Smith. He fought at Michael's 8th Avenue. He fought all over the Beltway. His final record was 14-5-3 with 4 KOs. Now, funeral arrangements are unknown at this time. Hope to give that to you and get that information out to you as soon as we can. Now, once again, he was one of the tough boxers we had in this area during the late 90s, early 2000s. He gave anybody a tough battle. No question about that. He's going to be missed. Good man, good boxer, no question about that. Boxing Along the Beltway definitely sends his condolences to all his family and friends. So, tough loss there. Mighty Marlon Haynes. We pay tribute to him in this card and in this podcast, and we dedicate this podcast to him. Now, a lot going on in the Beltway. We talked about last week how Antonio Russell, another Russell, had an interim title bout coming up on Saturday, August the 14th, and it'll be at the August 14th at the. Oh boy, I'm looking forward to the update on that now. He'll have a title fight coming up very, very soon, and it'll be on August 14th. It'll be for the interim WBA. I believe it's the super bantamweight title. But he's not the only one who has a title bout coming up. Coming up on, here he is, on Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. He's actually fighting for the interim WBA bantamweight title. He'll take on Emmanuel Rodriguez of Vega Baja, Puerto Rico. That'll be at the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. That bout's scheduled to be televised on Showtime. But he's not the only one who has a upcoming interim welterweight title bout. Up in Marlboro, Maryland, welterweight Michael the Professor Fox. He'll vie for his first world title when he takes on Gabriel Maestre of Barcelona, Venezuela. That'll be this coming Saturday, August 7th, if we record this. Saturday, August 7th at the Minneapolis, Minnesota Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The co-featured bout will be part of a triple header that'll be shown on Fox and also Fox Deportes beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be the co-featured bout, so it'll be the second bout on this card. Now, Fox is 22-2. He's with 5 KOs. Takes this bout on relatively short notice because he's replacing Cody Crowley. Cody Crowley's fought in this area at least once. He had to withdraw from the contest, however, due to a positive COVID-19 test. Fox last fought, it'll be almost 1 year to the day to this contest. Back on August 8th, 2020, Fox lost a 10-round unanimous decision to Lucas Santa Maria in Los Angeles, California. So once again, Fox 22-2, 5 KOs. Now, Maestre is just 3-0 with all 3 of his wins by KO. So you look at that and you're like, what is he doing against Michael Fox? But then you look at his overall record. First of all, he's a 2-time Venezuelan Olympian. He fought in both the 2012 and 2016 Olympics. He fought all 3 of his bouts in Colombia. Okay? Now, he's already won a minor title, the WBA Federball Super Welterweight title. That was in his pro debut. And he knocked down an opponent that was 20-0. Okay? He knocked down an opponent that's 20-0. The 3 opponents that he has knocked out, all 3 by knockout, had a combined one-loss record of 63, 9, and 2. So Maestre is no joke. And it's going to be a tough one for Michael Fox, especially coming out off a short notice here. That's not going to be easy. Now, I looked at the photos from the press conference, and definitely Fox had the height advantage over Maestre, but this is scary, in all honesty. This is kind of scary because Fox is maybe going into a serious lion den against Gabriel Maestre. Only 3-0, but he's fought legitimate folks. He's fought some really, really big-time folks. Again, his first opponent, his debut opponent, was 20-0, and he knocked him out. So that's going to be kind of tough. So we'll see what happens. Saturday, August 7th, at the Minneapolis Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Michael Fox competing for the interim WBA welterweight title. By the way, Maestre is ranked 4th in the world by the WBA. And that'll be a co-featured bout, the second bout on a card that'll take place in the Minneapolis Armory and be shown live on Fox beginning at 8 p.m. Fox and Fox Deportes as well. Now we got some good news and some bad news from the Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. First of all, the very good news. Lightweight Keyshawn Davis out of Alexandria, Virginia, he's moved into the medal round of the Tokyo Olympics. Now, Davis won a 4-1 decision over Gabriel Mamedov of the Russian Olympic Committee. Russia, as a country, has been banned from the Olympics. However, the Russian athletes got together and they called themselves the Russian Olympic Committee. Now, Davis scored a standing 8 count against Mamedov in the 3rd round, and that sealed the victory for him. Now, Davis is assured of at least a bronze medal. He will win at least a bronze medal. Now, he is the first Beltway boxer to earn a medal in the Olympics since Clarence Vincent did it in 2000 in Sydney, Australia. He also earned a bronze medal. Davis now looks to become the first local to win a gold medal since Andrew Maynard way back in 1988 in Seoul, South Korea. Now, in order to do that, he have to take on Hovhannes Bachov of Armenia, and that'll be in the semifinals. That'll be coming up actually a little bit later on this morning, Friday morning, August 6th. So we should get an update on that tomorrow afternoon, what he'll do about that. So if he'll do that now, he'll be trying also to be one of the first gold medalists for the United States, since Andre Ward did it in 2004. Now, if he does come away with a silver, he beats Bachov and come away with a silver, he'll be the first silver medalist to come out of the Beltway way back. He had to go way back to Sergeant Charles Mooney in 1976. He won a silver medal at the Olympics. So hopefully Davis can get the gold medal and really do well. He is the United States' best chance for a gold medal. So we'll see what happens coming up this coming Friday, August 6th, for Keyshawn Davis going for the gold medal. Now, the other local boxer that was in the Olympics, his dream ended back on Thursday, July 29th. He lost a close 3-2 decision to Gleb Bakshi. We're talking about Alexander, Virginia middleweight Troy Isley. He lost to Gleb Bakshi of the Russian Olympic Committee today in Tokyo. He won his opening bout, his first bout against Vitaly Bondarenko of Belarus. That was on Monday, July 26th, a 5-0 decision. And Davis also won his first bout in a 5-0 decision against Enrico Lacruz of the Netherlands. So that's a tough one there. So best wishes to both Keyshawn Davis and Troy Isley. Troy Isley will go back to the pro ranks, and Keyshawn Davis will follow, but hopefully he'll follow with a gold medal behind him. No question about that. Now, don't forget about the card coming up on Saturday, August 7th at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That is a Jetta Promotions card. And number Beltway Boxer is scheduled to be on that card. Still no updates on matchups yet, but Brandon the Hitter Chambers out of Gwynn Oak, Maryland, 4-1 2 KOs be on that card. AJ Williams of Cockeysville, Maryland, 3-1 2 KOs also on that card. Jaqueem Hutchinson of Forestville, Maryland, won his pro debut back in April. Baltimore, Maryland super lightweight Evan Harker lost his pro debut on the same card in April as well. So they're all looking for opponents for the card, and we'll see what happens there. Also, Larry Hitman Pryor out of Frederick, Maryland, the cruiserweight. He'll be in a 6-round contest against Craig Parker of Las Vegas, Nevada. That'll be on Saturday, August 7th in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Pryor is 14-24, 8 KOs, and Parker is 10-0, all 10 of his wins by KO. So we'll see what happens coming up there. Now, wrestling tribute to that. Wrestling tribute. It goes to a man who, like I said, might have been the best tag team wrestler in the history of pro wrestling. Now, when I think of tag team wrestling, I really think of two people. One of them is Tony Garea. He's still with us. Tony Garea, who won 5 World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment they call it now, World Wrestling Federation tag team titles with 4 different partners. He worked with Haystack Calhoun, Dean Ho. That was the first time I saw him, was against Dean Ho. With Dean Ho, excuse me. His third one was with Larry Zbyszko, and then he won 2 world titles and won my favorite tag team of all time, his partnership with Rick Martel. They won 2 world tag team titles. And I always thought that Tony Garea should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And I guess one of the people who doesn't think that is Tony Garea. I actually did some Twitter conversations with Tony Garea, and he doesn't want to be a part of the Hall of Fame. I don't know why, but he's been an agent for WWE for a long period of time. And he has some great tag teams, no question about that. But truthfully, when we look back on it, Garea's career as a tag team wrestler really pales in comparison to the man we're going to talk about today. Every tag team that he was ever in was a success in some way, shape, or form, either in regional competition or on the world championship level. We're talking about a man by the name of Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Beautiful Bobby Eaton passed away this past week, and it's been really tough for this family because a month early, back in June, actually, of this year, June 26th, I believe it was, Bobby Eaton's wife, Donna Eaton, passed away. Now, Donna Eaton had connections to wrestling because her father was truly a great wrestler in his own right, superstar Bill Dundee. So Bobby Eaton was Bill Dundee's son-in-law. Now, I don't know whether or not the sadness after that, after his loss, the loss of his wife, contributed to this. Other people said that he had a fall in July, and that may have led to this. I don't know. But he was 62 years old. And like I said, every tag team that he was ever in, Bobby Eaton was ever in, was a success in some shape or fashion. He teamed with a guy by the name of George Goulas, who I've never really seen, but I've heard about his father, Nick Goulas. And he and Goulas became a tag team known as the Jet Set. That was back in, I believe, the Memphis territory, Memphis, Tennessee territory. Now, he also teamed with Coco Beware, and they were a very successful tag team, won some regional titles. But if you know Bobby Eaton, you know that he was part of one of the greatest tag teams in all of history. He was part, and really the mainstay, of a team known as the Midnight Express. And this team started in the Mid-South territory, which is Louisiana, Oklahoma, and in that area. And Bill Watts created that team. He promoted there. Bill Watts of Mid-South Wrestling created that team. And it was Bobby Eaton teaming up with a guy by the name of Dennis Condrey. Now, the Midnight Express actually began, just a quick aside, as a three-man tag team that did not include Bobby Eaton. It was Dennis Condrey, Randy Rose, and Norvell Austin. And they were the original Midnight Express. In fact, I'll get to that later. But Dennis Condrey became Bobby Eaton's partner. They were, of course, managed by a legendary manager by the name of Jim Cornette. And they wreaked havoc in the Mid-South territory. And they fought guys like the Rock and Roll Express. That is where the start of one of the greatest overall feuds, but definitely probably the greatest tag team feud of all time started between the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express. That's where it started in the Mid-South territory. And they would just battle back and forth for the Mid-South title. It was some great bouts there. No question about that. Some wonderful bouts there. So they went from the Mid-South territory to the NWA Mid-Atlantic territory. And the Rock and Roll Express would follow them. And also another team that would follow them would be Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton, the original Fantastics. They would follow them as well. But the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, that feud elevated in the National Wrestling Alliance Mid-Atlantic territory. And one of the reasons why it elevated was actually Dennis Condrey left the team, and he was replaced by another great wrestler who was a great tag team wrestler in his own right by the name of Sweet Stan Lane. Now, Stan Lane was also in a tag team years ago called the Fabulous Ones with Steve Keirn. He was also in another team with Brian St. John, but his team with the Fabulous Ones was an outstanding tag team. And when he came to the Midnight Express, that feud between them and the Rock and Roll Express absolutely elevated. Oh, it was fantastic. Ricky Morton and Robbie Gibson had some tough times. And I think one of the greatest matches I ever saw live was in July of 1987 at the Capitol Center on the Great American Bash card with the the Rock and Roll Express defended the NWA World Tag Team titles against the Midnight Express. And they had a bodyguard at that time, Big Bubba Rogers, Ray Traylor, who actually interfered in the match at the end. And it looked like the Midnight Express were going to win the World Tag Team titles. But they had, Capitol Center had telescreens. They were one of the first arenas that had the telescreen. And the referee, one of the outside referees, saw the interference and gave the title back to the Rock and Roll Express. Now, the Midnight Express were one of I think maybe the first team to win both the United States Tag Team titles, as he won from the Fantastics, and the World Tag Team title that they won from Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. By that time, they had done a face turn, and after they beaten the Fantastics for the World Tag Team titles, they always wondered why the Midnight Express never got a World Tag Team title. But they finally did and beat Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard for the World titles. So they held both titles. Now, Bobby Eaton, and I think in all the years I saw Bobby Eaton compete, he may have said 10 words. And most of the words came in the feud with Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard because Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson was both very good friends. So that was a weird thing there. So he didn't talk much, but he was one guy who let his ability speak for himself in the ring. Oh, he was a technical genius, and he had a great move from the top rope called the Alabama Jam. He was from Huntsville, Alabama. And he landed that big leg drop from the top rope. Oh, it was beautiful. No question about that. And the teamwork between first Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, and then definitely between Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane were just wonders to behold. No question about that. Now, after they lost the NWA World Tag Team titles to the Road Warriors, Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane got into a feud with the guys who called themselves the original Midnight Express, Randy Rose and Dennis Condrey. And that was a good feud. Paulie Dangerous, who was the manager of the original Midnight Express. And I remember they came on to the scene, and they actually, Paulie Dangerous' gimmick at that time was a large cell phone. And he called Jim Cornette, who was at the ringside doing commentary for NWA World Championship Wrestling, and they called him, and Cornette got mad. He hung up the phone, and then the original Midnight Express stormed the studio and started beating up Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane, and Jim Cornette. That's how that feud started. But again, Bobby Eaton didn't say a lot. He didn't say a whole lot at all. But he let his actions speak louder than his words. No question about that. Now, he and Jim Cornette were great friends. Not only did he use, of course, Midnight Express. When Jim Cornette started the territory known as Smoky Mountain Wrestling, he had Stan Lane and Tom Pritchard in that area as the Heavenly Bodies, and Bobby Eaton was kind of their bodyguard. He wasn't really a part of the team, but he was probably a bodyguard for them. He was bodyguard. And in a really weird turn, all right, before he gets with that one, after he left, he came back to WCW. At that time, it was World Championship Wrestling. He teamed with Arn Anderson in Paulie Dangerously Dangerous Alliance and won a World Tag Team title with Arn Anderson. They got back together, and Paulie Dangerously managed them. He also had Steve Austin in the Dangerous Alliance. He had Ravishing Rick Rude as well. And then, in a very weird turn, I think this was a signal as to where WCW was going at that time, which was basically downhill. He had a team known as the Blue Bloods, and Bobby Eaton became Earl Robert Eaton, along with Sir William Regal, and I think it was Prince Dave Taylor or something like that, and they were known as the Blue Bloods. And it was a good tag team, just a very silly gimmick, but it was a good tag team, no question about that. And I think they may have even won a world title, I'm not sure. But everything that Bobby Eaton did was successful in the ring, and I don't think he ever got the credit for it. But I will say this though: I've been reading a lot of the tweets and some of the Facebook posts about Bobby Eaton, and to say he was well liked within the business is a total understatement. The love people poured out for Bobby Eaton, from Ric Flair to Bobby Fulton of the Fantastics to both members of the Rock and Roll Express, Bobby Gibson and Rick Morton, Tommy Dreamer. I've just seen so many wrestlers and fans. I know I put out a tweet myself, and he was a great, great wrestler, and apparently he was a very good friend. He'd been ill for a little bit, and then he had come back and started making rounds a lot of the fan fests around the area, around the country. And they said he was not a nicer guy in the world than beautiful Bobby Eaton. So we're going to miss him. In fact, it's been a tough week for wrestling this week because we lost 3 guys that were very important to this business. Now, 2 of the guys, I didn't see a whole lot growing up, but the other 2, along with Bobby Eaton, were a guy by the name of Jody Hamilton. Now, Jody Hamilton was one half of the Assassins, the Masked Assassins, along with Tom Ernesto. And I know I saw him in Georgia and in Mid-Atlantic wrestling, mostly as a face, although he was a heel most of his career. But in the times I got a chance to see him, he was actually a good guy, believe it or not. He was against Paul Jones, and he was helping out Jimmy Valiant at that time. And his son was one of the great referees in professional wrestling. Nick Patrick was his son. We mourn his loss. And also a guy by the name of Bert Prentice. Bert Prentice was actually a manager and a promoter in the Memphis territory. But I saw him first, actually, in the Southwest Championship Wrestling territory, which is in San Antonio, Texas. And he was a character by the name of Christopher Love. And I remember he used to manage Tully Blanchard, whose father, Joe Blanchard, ran that territory, Southwest Championship Wrestling. And he managed Tully Blanchard for a while. He was kind of a flamboyant character. So he wasn't a strong He-Man type character. But we had those 3 losses all this week in the world of professional wrestling. But the one that hit hardest for me was definitely Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Tough loss. Oh, we're going to miss him. Definitely one of the great tag team wrestlers of all time. And that will do it for another edition of Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. Once again, Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief, the official pain relief now endorsed by 2-time World Heavyweight Champion Big George Foreman. So, once again, go to his Facebook and go to his knockout plan for Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you continue to join. And again, we'll have some big news coming up in the next few months about boxing in the Beltway area. Join us then. Till then, thanks for joining us. And always remember, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Oh, beautiful right hand by Daryl Coley.